Hey everybody, good morning. This is Megan with Revolution Wellness. And one of the themes that we've been talking about this month is active recovery, but also being able to meet our clients where they are in their fitness journey when they come in. And so today, what I want to talk to you about is squatting. Now, recently we had a client come in who had just started a fitness app that he downloaded from the internet, from the interwebs. And the trainer that he's following is a very well-respected trainer. I myself have followed this person before. And he went into the gym and his workout was a squat day. And so the first part of this was back squat. The second part of this was a split squat. The third part of this was a leg press or sled. And then the fourth part of this was, I want to say it was something called sissy squats, which are awesome and brutal all in their own right. So if we look at this, and these are sets of 4. So he's doing 4 sets of 12 here. He's doing 4 sets of 8 on both legs here. He's doing 4 sets of 8 here, and he's doing 4 sets of 12 here. So if we do the math, this is a lot of volume. So here's what happened to this guy. He got to this point and started having anterior knee pain. So let's talk about why that probably happened. When we squat, our goal is to squat from this position. So this is my pelvis, this is my hip, this is my knee. Oh, my foot is backwards. Hang on. There we go. Now I have a foot that's going the right way. In order to make a squat effective, you need to have an effective hinge at your hip. In that hip hinge, you end up turning on this beautiful butt, these beautiful hamstrings, and this is called your posterior chain. That posterior chain provides support and stability so that as you go down, the forces that are coming down with gravity, but then also back up, don't crunch in on your knee joints. So when we took a look at what this guy was doing, rather than sitting back and using his posterior chain, he was coming forwards. Now, it's okay for your knees to go past your toes. It's okay to come forward. It's not okay to do that if you don't also do a hip hinge. So what we're gonna do in the rest of this video is show you what that looks like in real time. Leah's gonna be our awesome squat demo because her squat is beautiful. And we're gonna give you a couple options that you can come up with in case you run into something like this and you're having knee pain, but you still want to work out so that you can meet yourself where you are and continue to stay active while you're rehabbing from injury. All right, so let's talk about how we can make sure that somebody is squatting effectively. One of the first things that we do with our clients is in our movement assessment is just assessing an air squat. So Leah's gonna be our demo because she's got an awesome squat. One thing that I want to make just known is that Leah is wearing weightlifting shoes. Thank you, Innovate. Weightlifting shoes can be really helpful because they bring your foot up just a little bit. So if you have any issues with ankle mobility, those shoes are gonna help you kind of circumvent that problem. I would say for people who are new to squatting, I would not put you in those, and I would put you in more of a zero drop or a neutral shoe. I also want to just throw this out there for those of you who wear running sneakers. Running shoes are for running. Running shoes are not for squatting or deadlifting or Olympic lifting.
What are they for?
Running. They're for running. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, Leah, let's see an air squat. Beautiful. Let's see 5, 2, 3. Can you turn and face me so they can see you from the side? 4 and 5. Okay, take a little rest. One of the things that I want you to notice with Leah's air squat is that she sends her butt back first and then descends into the bottom of her squat and then stands back up. When she sends her butt back, that's what we refer to as a hip hinge. So show me what would happen if you did not do a hip hinge. See if you can do 5 of them. And those are really hard because that's not how she squats. I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at you.
You can laugh at me.
I guess I am laughing a little bit at her. So look at the position of her knee joint when she does that, okay? And then come back up, and then let's have you hip hinge. Do you see how when she goes back, her knee it's straight over her toes, but go ahead and come back up. When she squats the other way, it goes way past her toes. Now, that's not bad, okay? But because she's lost her hip hinge, that's not what we want. So it's okay if your knees go over your toes. It's okay if they go past your toes, but it's only okay if that happens with a hip hinge. There you go, okay? And that's gonna be different based on how you're built as a human being. Everybody's got a different bone structure, different leg length, that sort of thing. Now, let's say that her air squat wasn't looking so good, or maybe she didn't know how low she could go. So go ahead and do like just a 2 parallel squats. So we get a lot of people who do this, or show me a deep, but like you lose it. Yeah, a lot of people will do that. One of the other things that we're looking for in a squat, if I have an imaginary line from, actually, let's see, where's my broomstick? Here's my broomstick. So I have a line here with her thoracic spine, and that same line is here at her lower leg or her tibia. Go ahead and squat down. I want her T-spine and her tibia to be parallel to one another. So these two things should be in line. If that's not happening, there's 2 problems. 1 could be ankle mobility. 2 could be T-spine mobility. 3 could be lack of hip hinge. I said 2, I meant 3. Could be lack of hip hinge, and that's where this ball can come in. So, Leah, I'm gonna have you squat to the ball, and then come back up. Now, as you squat, because Leah does have some T-spine mobility issues, I want you to think angry gorilla chest. So we use the cue angry gorilla chest because when a gorilla gets really angry, they puff up their chest really, really big and they bang on it and they're like, rah. Okay, so you can do that when you squat and it might help you. Yes, lovely. But you're not, where's the rah? Rah! Yes, there we go. All right. So you can use a med ball to help you with that depth, and then you can also be an angry gorilla and rah. Okay. All right, let's get rid of this guy. Now, sometimes people can't even hip hinge, so this is where we like to use our TRX. You can use the TRX or the rings. We're actually going to use the rings so that I don't have to fumble with adjusting the TRX in this video. So, Leah, I'm going to have you hold on to these rings. Okay, and as she holds on to the rings, she's going to use the rings to counteract her body weight, and we're going to focus on sending that butt back and down. Okay, and then come back up. And let's just try 5 of those. See if you can send your butt back a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. Good, and then back up. Nice. How's that feel? Good, awesome. Okay, so hip hinge is the first piece of an effective squat, followed by ankle mobility, thoracic spine mobility, angry gorilla chest, and depth. All right, so here we are in the setup for a barbell back squat. We'll do a different video later about the different types of barbell squat variations, but for now, because our initial example had a barbell back squat in the programming that that person was following for that day, that's what we're going to talk about here today. So in the barbell back squat, you want the rack to be set up either at shoulder height or maybe an inch below. So Leah and I both like it about an inch below. When we squat, especially if we're doing a barbell back squat, any thinking that you need to do, especially as it gets heavier, you need to do without your hands on the bar before you've even approached it, okay? You should only approach the bar when mentally you're ready to go, all right? So Leah is going to find her grip. There's a couple of different ways that you can grip. Some power lifters you'll see like to have a super, super narrow grip. There's some people who like to go further out. I'm a big fan of a thumb's width outside of the knurling, or if I'm on a bar that has marks towards the end, I go to the first mark. I line that up with the heel of my hand or my pinky. So you'll just have to kind of find what works for you. So Leah's going to get herself in the back rack position. She's doing what's called a high bar back squat. And what that means is that the bar is up high on these beautiful meaty traps that she has. Now from here, she's gonna just stand that bar up. She's gonna take 2 steps back, 1, 2, and then she's gonna take 1 or 2 steps to get into her squat stance. Now, let's talk a little bit about squat stance. If you look at her feet are turned out just a little bit. For most women, we need to do that because that's how our femurs are oriented into our pelvic bones. Men might be the same, but it might be a little different. So you do not have to do a toes forward squat for it to be effective. I would actually argue that rotating out is going to help you turn on more of your posterior chain a little bit more effectively. Now, in order to effectively descend into the bottom of her squat, she's going to screw her feet into the ground and focus on having her weight in her big toe, pinky toe, and heel. She's going to pull her belly button in towards her spine, and she's going to send her butt back, just like we did in that hip hinge. She's going to squat, and then she's going to drive up through her feet and stand. So let's see 5 of those. Nice. Her torso and her tibia are parallel to one another. She's getting just below her knee in terms of depth. She's not butt winking. The butt wink is what happens when you get down into the bottom of your squat and your butt kind of tucks up underneath you like a dog who's trying to take a shit. She's not doing that, so that's good. Okay, so everything is staying nice and aligned the way that we looked at in our air squat. When she's done with her set, she's not gonna hurt the bar, she's not gonna hurt the rack. She's gonna walk that bar straight in until she feels it in the rack, slowly bring it down, and then she's gonna take herself out of the rack. And that is how you do a barbell back squat. All right, so sometimes, just like with the air squat, when we need to either show someone how far they need to go down in terms of depth, or if maybe going down below parallel just isn't happening for you, we can do what's called a box squat. Like our client that we talked about at the very beginning of this video, he was having pain in the front of his knee when he reached a certain depth in his squat. That doesn't mean that he needs to stop squatting. It just means we need to change the way that he's squatting while we address whatever's going on with his knee. The box squat is a super effective way for us to do that because we can still get good posterior chain activation and still train that squat pattern without taking the movement completely away from his exercise regimen. So the approach is the same as we did for the barbell back squat. So Leah's gonna get that bar on those beautiful meaty traps. She's gonna back up, and we've got a box set up at a diagonal. So she's gonna take feet on either side of that box. She's gonna send her butt back, like she's gonna sit on the box and then stand back up. Now, there's a couple variations that you can do here. She's doing just barely like a butt touch on this box. She can also do a full sit and then go ahead and stand. I want you to use the full sit with extreme caution. And the reason why, as she sits down and she rocks back, she's gonna be tempted to lose this core stabilization that she has and slump down. At which point then her back is gonna have to do most of the work to stand her up. And now we're gonna end up dealing with a low back injury on top of knee pain. And that's not what we want. So again, making sure that the core stays nice and tight, that tibia torso angle stay parallel to one another. You can either barely touch the box or you can sit and then stand back up. All right, so in summary, I made this beautiful decision tree for you to use in the gym if you have pain with squatting. So let's start with ouch, squatting hurts. What can I do? I can go to an air squat. If an air squat hurts, I'm gonna squat with the ring or the TRX like we talked about. Once we get to the point that that does not hurt, we're gonna air squat to our med ball. When that doesn't hurt, we're gonna add our barbell back squat. If that hurts, we're gonna go to our box squat. If the box squat hurts, we need to go back up here, okay? If the box squat goes well, we can come back to our barbell back squat, and then we do more squats. And if more squats hurt, we're going back up to our box squats. So in this decision tree, you can see the progression of how to get back into squatting without pain, but you can also reverse engineer it if you get stuck at some point in this decision tree and you start to have problems. Squatting is functional, it is effective, it looks like things we do in everyday life, and as Mark Ripito said, if you can't fix it with squats and fish oil, you're probably going to die.
Nailed it.